All right, you guys, super pumped that you made it on
Let's
Masterclass.
go,
I
Skip.
haven't done one of these in a while. I used to do these weekly
Would, but it's
with
very good
people.
news out of your Jeep. Maybe you
So
can do that.
it's really cool
Again?
that you guys can get on. If you, I'm gonna mute a few
Oh,
people.
On the other side of your Jeep.
you're all gone. It's all gone.
There we go. All right, sweet. Okay, so I'm super pumped that you guys are on, and these master classes are fun. They're info packed. We can really get a lot covered in a short amount of time, especially when we have these types of subjects. And this was one that I was like, man, this needs to be talked about at the beginning of the year. We're goal setting. Our mindsets are always this time of year of some things that I really want to accomplish, right? And a lot of us raise your hand or drop a thumbs up if you're not on video. If have you set some goals for yourself? Like who's set some goals for yourself? Awesome. Okay, now some of you, even if I can't see you on the screen, maybe you haven't set an official goal, but you're thinking about stuff, but maybe you're even nervous about setting goals because you've struggled with following through with them in the past. And that happens at times too, where when you've struggled, when you've considered yourself that you've failed on your goals, then it's hard to go and set the goal. So there might be some of you in the room that are the same way there. And that's okay too. We want to make sure, because even if you're not officially setting the goals, you have stuff in your heart where you're like, there's things that are important to you. And those are goals too. Even if you haven't made them official, you have these desires in your heart that are important to you. And so we want to be figuring out how can I be more successful at moving towards these things to accomplish them. And building structure towards that is one of the best things you can do if you've struggled with this in the past. And even if you haven't struggled with it in the past, it's one of the best things you can do. And sometimes it's hard for me to always want to build structure because I really love just like living with the wind. And so sometimes it's difficult, but there still is times where you're like the focus has to be moved in towards the goal that you're working on. And so this is a structure that I've used for myself. Ironically, since I was like 13, 14 years old, I was doing this naturally and I didn't even know. And so I've been using this for 20 years for my own health and fitness. And when I was working to play college basketball and these things were where I was doing these things and I didn't even know it until later on it became more I could write the structure down. And so I've implemented this even with a lot of my clients, my elite level clients that I help. And so I wanted to really help lay out some of this with you today as well. So I'm going to do a quick screen share with you guys, and I'm going to show you this super amazing. This is going to take like an hour to go through. I'm just kidding. This is like my five point, my 5 points. I keep this short. Can you guys see this? Give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure this is going through the screen record. Okay, sweet. So building your map is what I like to call this. And this is how we move through our goals. So the first thing we're doing, you can see up top, is that you set your goal. This is like the enlightenment, the light bulb going off in our minds, right? That you have this goal. Okay. But a lot of times this is where it stops for people is I have this goal. And that like, for the sake of example, let's just use, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Okay. So the goal might be, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, but that's kind of where it stops. And you have that. And that's why it's been a struggle for a lot of people. Let's just stick on the example of losing weight. And people struggle with that maybe throughout the entire year and then year after year, because it kind of stops with, I need to lose 30, but we don't build the structure on how to actually lose the 30. And so first thing that I like to do with people, and this can go with any goal you have. This can be in your businesses. This can be anything. Determine a time frame. Okay. And so, for example, like I want to do this by my family summer vacation. So 6 months is my time frame. I'm going on vacation in July. I want to lose this 30 pounds. So I'm giving myself this realistic window, but it's a time frame to be able to hold myself accountable. That's such a key piece with this is building something where there's accountability that you can always move back to. Okay. So that's where we're moving, just from it being an idea to now we're putting pencil on paper, right? We're building this accountability. So from there, we need to set micro goals. Okay, we have our big goal, but we need to break it down. Breaking it down is the key factor. This is where it gets a little more time consuming. This is where people get a little discouraged because it takes sitting down for a few minutes and going over this, building the plan. And so, for example, if I lose 5 pounds every month for the 6 months, that's simple math, right? I lost my 30 pounds. I'm at my goal, my 6 month time frame. I'm at my goal of 30 pounds lost. Again, you can use that with anything. You can use that if you're trying to grow your business, make more money, whatever it is. And so next, then we have build the structure to achieve the micro goals. Okay, so we have the micro goal. Okay, every month I need to lose 5 pounds, but how? There still has the question then of, well, how am I going to do that? I broke it down, but I still have to lose the 5 pounds. How do I do it? I need to start scheduling out my entire week. Okay, we need to start putting the puzzle pieces together for all of this to make sense. Okay, so we're going to move into mapping our days. We built our goals. We're starting to figure out all of these pieces. And now we sit down and we're like, all right, let's map it out. Let's break this down. Let's get specific. Okay, so I kind of think of it as like this down chart. And so like for example, like let's just pick Monday and let's stick on this fitness path, right? Okay, Monday, I need to lift weights. If I'm going to lose 30 pounds, I know I got to start exercising. I'm going to lift weights. But we can't just go into a week and be like, okay, I'm going to lift on Monday. Because it's just, it doesn't work that way. You're going to step into the gym and be like, well, what am I lifting? When am I even going? Because normally I get up at 7 to go to work at 8, but then I'm home at 5:30, I'm cooking, and then my whole night gets away, and I'm like, crap, I was going to exercise today. I was going to lift weights. We need to start scheduling out these days. So I'm lift weights, but when am I lifting? Okay, I need to lift at 5 a.m. for this to happen. Okay, so I can hold myself accountable to that. Well, what am I even lifting? We all know chest day is International Chest Day is Monday. So we all know we're lifting on Monday, we're chest on Monday. Okay, so then what exercises? So you can see how you continue to ask the question. Ask the next good question to yourself, no matter what the subject. When am I lifting? When am I going to lift? What am I going to lift? Okay, what exercises am I going to do? And then you continue on to be like, okay, well, how many sets am I going to do? How many reps of every set? How much time do I have to do this? Okay, so you can see how we just continue to get super specific in what you're doing. Tuesday, same thing. I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk. I don't have 30 minutes all together. Okay, well, it's still no excuse. I can break it up. I'm going to do 10 minutes when I wake up. I'm going to do 10 minutes over my lunch break at work. I'm going to do 10 minutes right after I get out of work before I can get home. I got my 30 minutes in. Perfect. Same thing throughout the entire week. You can see we just keep breaking it down. Really specific, okay? So this is one of the ways. I like to move into like hourly breakdowns. There's quarter breakdowns. This seems to be a really good way for a lot of people to start breaking out. So there's a ton of ways, and there's a ton of ways to even modify this strategy. This is just one of many. 4-quarter strategy is awesome though, because it's simple. It makes sense to people. So quarter one, let's break it down your day into 4 quarters. 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. This can be 5 to 9, this whatever, okay? Don't get hung up on the time. But the first quarter of your day, focus it being on self-improvement. This is where you are developing yourself. You are bettering yourself, reading, working out, getting your breakfast in, getting some meditation, reviewing your goals, planning, praying, whatever that thing is for you that moves you forward, things that improve you, because this is going to then give you such a good energy moving into the rest of your day, because all of that's off your plate. Because a lot of times the things that stress us out and add weight to our shoulders are the things that the dreams we have inside of us, the things we want to move forward with are the things that tend to stress us out because we're not actually working towards them. And so we want to put this in Q1 if possible for a lot of people. So a lot of people have the discipline to do this at the end of the day too. Totally fine. Find your personality type and be honest with yourself with that. Q2, I like to call this into providing. And even if you're not quote unquote like working in the workforce, if you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, whatever that looks like, it's still a providing or caring time, right? You're providing for your family. You're working at your skills professionally. You're doing these things that put food on the table, that provide for your family, okay? The thing I like within the Q2 and Q3, you guys, is that there's technically a gap, right? A lot of you guys have lunch breaks. Okay, it might be 30 minutes, might be an hour, whatever that looks like. Some of you have breaks in between the morning time. What I'll do with a lot of my clients that are working with me to build these things out is I'll actually build in some self-development stuff in between that time frame.
Good.
So you can eat quick and you can do some reading, some praying, some meditation, so anything that's in there that improves you in between. And then that keeps your energy levels up, moves you into Q3. Same thing we're providing. The cool thing about Q3, you guys, though, is that in order to be really effective in Q4, we need to end Q3 properly. Okay. So when we're closing out Q3, you're already mentally exiting the providing portion of the quarter, and we're not taking that into Q4 if all possible. Okay. Because Q4 is essential as well. This is family time, the key aspect here, the rest of your day. So family focused time, right? We're having supper, we're playing with the kids, we're doing those things. And when I'm breaking down, I'll take the quarters of all of this and I'll start even breaking down the hours within the quarters with people. And so like you might have Q4 from 5 to 9, but then I'll break it down where I'm like, okay, it's 5 to 8 with the whole family, but 8 to 9 is just with your spouse. And it's that dedicated time. So you can take the Q4 structure and make it your own and start breaking down the hours within the quarter. That's taking it to an extreme structure at first. And that might seem like a lot for a lot of you guys, but when you're being specific, that means you're breaking down your day hour by hour if you have to do so. And some of you might be in a spot where like, I need to do this. I challenge a lot of people to sit down and be like, every 15 minutes on the notes of your phone, every 15 minutes, write down what you were doing in that last 15 minutes. Because it's going to blow your mind on like how much time in between your day. We're like, oh, dude, I really didn't do much in that last 15 minutes. Like it really happens that way. So I'm going to challenge you guys to maybe do that tomorrow, do that this week, of write down every 15 minutes what you did and look at the day. Look at where you're productive. Look at where you weren't productive. Look at where you could be doing things that you want to accomplish in your life, right? When you start finding these things, we can repeat the process. Okay. We can find what really works every day, every week. You're going to learn these things. You're going to find out what doesn't work. You're going to find out what does work. And when that happens, we're really able to then make the proper adjustment. And the adjustment is what is going to yield you a massive success as well, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your fitness, anything, your family. Because every time you sit down for the week and you structure it like this, you're going to find 3 things that work super awesome, maybe 6 things that didn't work really well, 1 thing that was okay. And so then you're going to sit down again and take the 20 minutes and be like, okay, these 3 things were key for me. I crushed it. These things really helped me progress. These couple things really didn't work for me. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the process of the 3. I'm going to make the adjustment on the 6. And we're going to do it all over again. And we're going to repeat that process. It sounds super simple. You guys probably like, this is like the simplest thing ever. But how many of us are doing this week to week? Like we don't. We really, a lot of us don't do these things. And I've noticed even for myself, like what isn't tracked isn't measurable. And so when I was really I got to the end of 2021 and I was like, I want to grow my business. And I went out and we made an investment, and it made me super nervous because the investment really stretched us. And I was like, man, this, like, we can swing this, but it's cutting it close. And it made me so nervous. And I'm like, man, I really want to grow my business. And so I sat down and started measuring every single week in my business how many people I was talking to online. So my leads, how many people I was warming and generating those leads, and how many people I was messaging, and then how many people how many phone calls I was booking a week. And all of these things, ironically, just started generating clients because I was measuring metrics now, and it was bringing people in, and I was more focused within hours. And now I was doing things in an hour that was taking me maybe 4 hours before, because the time frame was really structured. And so then you start measuring the income, right? And you start all these tangible pieces you're putting down on paper, we're seeing. And I think viewing is that huge piece when we're actually looking at what we want. That keeps it in the forefront versus a random thought at the end of the day of, oh crap, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And so we want to measure everything, really measure it. And this is a great starting piece, but also as you're moving into it, you're going to find you're not going to need a certain amount of it. It's all a graduation piece of what you need. It's not going to be, it's kind of like counting macros, Kyle. Like when we first get you started with it, right? It's like you have to throw the 5 ounces of meat on a scale because you don't even know what 5 ounces looks like. But after you do that for a month, you're like, dude, I know what 5 ounces of meat looks like. I don't need to throw it on the scale every time. And so you start being able to be really quick with things and change and adapt on the fly. But I guarantee this is going to help you guys really have a different type of success in 2024 if you haven't done measurable metrics before. And I guarantee you it'll work. Any questions that you guys may have? I do want to open it up a little bit for just like discussion and questions. So let's take a few if there's anything. Anybody got anything? You can pop off of mute if you do, or raise your hand and I can pop you off of mute. Did that make sense, you guys? When I went through any questions on just like specific Q4 stuff, how to break down a day, anything specific that you're specifically struggling with as well, that could be an awesome example for everybody else if we took 5 minutes and dove into it. Anybody got anything like that?
I was just wondering, as far as the breakdown for, like, you talk about doing it by the hour, and of course, owning your own business, that's kind of flexible. How would you recommend something that's in more of a traditional kind of work balance? Would you need to kind of keep it? I mean, if you've got like appointments every 30 minutes, for instance, like how do you break that up?
That's where I feel like the Q4 works better for the traditional like person who works a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5, whatever that looks like. Because like the Q4, when I was first taught the Q4, I was kind of like, man, I don't know, because I don't have to clock in. And so it's a little different for me where that's where I think the Q4 works really good, because that opens up the 2 quarters for you in your traditional, because you're doing, you're a vet, right, Dina?
Yeah.
And so like, what are your hours?
Usually 8 to 6.
Okay.
So a little bit longer than the Q4s, but
Yep.
I didn't know if even within that, if you can break it down into like 2 hour chunks or something like that. I don't know if that's like a better idea or.
Absolutely. That's awesome. It's really about taking a strategy and making it your own that really fits your schedule. And so, yeah, if you have these 2-hour blocks where you're having like these appointments every 30 minutes, and let's say you have, I'm not sure if you're in charge of your own schedule, where if you can, block out a 15-minute here or there for you to, have a snack for you. Maybe it's to go get outside and get some fresh air for 5 minutes. All of these things where you can start taking that schedule and making it your own. And I think a lot of it is taking control of things that we don't always think we have control over. And so you may work a 9 to 5 and you're like, well, I don't have control of my hours. But really it's like it's kind of flipping the script and being like, no, these 8 hours of work are mine. And I'm going to crush these 8 hours, because now my first focus is my first quarter. It's quarter 2, but my first quarter of providing of work. I know if I crush it in here, it opens up my lunch. Whereas if I don't crush it in here, I don't get lunch. And there's a lot of jobs like that, right? You get behind and then you're like, you don't get your break. And so it's like, okay, this helps you lock in and focus, staying on schedule. That way I get my break. I can do those things that I've scheduled within my break. I can have a great meal that I prepped. I can go for a walk, get my steps in, and I can enter Q3 and crush. And then knowing in my mind I have Q4 coming, it helps me really lock in and focus at work. So I'm not taking, we talked about that, we're not taking any Q3 with us to Q4. Because what happens a lot to us, and I can do this even just being self-employed, I can extend Q2 and Q3 and make it all the rest of my day. And then Q4 is non-existent. And that is the last thing we want. That's the last thing all of us want, right? We want family to be the biggest priority with the self-improvement, because those things ebb and flow. They always touch, even though they're on the opposite spectrums, they always touch, because your self-development has to do with how your family develops, and your family time also ties into exactly how you self-develop. They're always touching, they're always flowing back and forth. And we want to make sure it's almost kind of a lost aspect, right? We've all probably even experienced it where we've struggled in the family aspect. And so when that becomes a focus with our own self-improvement, man, it really just like, it really helps us just see a better perspective, and then makes the workday so much more better and makes it less miserable. And we can change our mindset into this is a providing piece. And then that makes all the quarters better, and makes you be able to change your hours, that schedule, maybe breaking it down per hour, per 2 hours, Dina, even more effective. So I think you're right there. Break down the hours within the quarter. When you want to get extreme, if you need extreme ownership with it, you need extreme scheduling, break down the hours or the quarters within the hours, right? However that looks for you, Dina. And I challenge you guys to take a day and do it. If you want to break down a day, 15 minutes or by hour, and email it to me and have me check it out, I would love to. I've had people do this, and it works really, really good. And so I wish I had one of my guys on here. I have a guy of mine over in Knoxville, Tennessee, that I did this with, and it was a game changer for him. I thought he might be on tonight. I was going to have him talk about it, but I don't see him on. So any questions from there? We're looking good. We are doing great on time. We're 23 minutes in. If we're getting close, I will close this out. So if there's no other questions, I just want to make sure you guys get ample time. Was this helpful for you to just get a different perspective on your scheduling? Awesome. Who's going to take the challenge and break down a day in a way that works for you? Maybe it's an hour. Awesome. Maybe it's the quarters. I would love to see it. If you want me to help you with it, don't be afraid to send it to me. I'd love to take a couple minutes and look it over, or and check it out. That's what I like to do. So shoot me an email if you need to. Yes, Kaylee.
So this is just me. I mean, I think I'll need help, and I know you've known me for a long time. I am not a morning person, but I really like your quarter force family time, because like right now, you've probably seen I work out like really late.
I was worried about you the other night.
Yeah, I was late. But I really struggle with the mornings. So how do like the mindset is there. I would love to be that person that gets up at 4.
Yeah.
I just feel, and I know it's like it's probably a lot like with work related mental bandwidth and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like how do I kind of overcome that? Like,
yeah,
get your butt out of bed and go do what you need to do.
That's great. 2 things I have for that. Obviously it doesn't have to be 4, maybe it's 5, right? So make your adjustment there. But here's 2 things with that. One, you said, I love the family time. I love the idea of that. So that needs to be the first thing that pops into your mind when the alarm goes off, is when I do this, I free up my evening for family time, and I have nothing else on my schedule. It's carefree. I can focus on them. I can focus on us. So that should be the number 1 thing that pops into your mind. I think that's going to be huge for you. 2 is maybe starting off, you don't even stress yourself out with the fact of I have to get up every day at 4:30 or 5, Monday through Friday. And you just say, hey, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, I'm committing to getting up at 4:30 those 2 days to start getting in the flow of this. And so it's not this giant like smash, you're exhausting yourself. It can be this, hey, these 2 days. So when you're sitting on Sunday, you're breaking down your week, you can be like, I'm committing to mornings these 2 days. It's going to free up my evenings more. I'm going to taste how this is affecting me. That builds momentum when you're seeing the effect. When it's kind of like the instant gratification. When we don't see change right away and we're just tired, it's kind of like non-motivating. But maybe 2 days a week, you're doing that and you're seeing the difference in the days that you do that on Tuesday and Thursday, and the difference on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that gives you some momentum. Like, dude, the effect on my family is wonderful. The effect on myself is wonderful. And that builds momentum to then doing it 3 days a week. And, and that's how you can maneuver that, I think would be really good for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you guys are thinking of? Okay. Awesome. I hope this was super helpful, you guys. And I think I'm going to do some more of these in the future with some different subjects. So even if you have some subjects that you're like, man, these are some stuff that I'd love to talk about, drop them over to me in an email or instant message. And I'd love to see if there's something there that I can help with you guys. So I appreciate you guys so much for taking the time to jump on a middle of a Wednesday night and taking 30 minutes to just look at that self-development piece, right? Let's carry some things over this year and let's make it an awesome year, you guys. So I love you guys and have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jordan.